Good morning, everyone. This is 14th day of becoming a billionaire, and today the date is 6th February 2026. That in Spanish will be El 6 de Febrero, and the day is Friday, and so in Spanish that will be Viernes. And I have been I've been thinking about a thing, and that is that I need to make some changes in my schedule of recording the video. So I usually record the video between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But considering the fact that my neighbors also wake up early, and so that is why I have to make this timing between 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then this is the zone where I will be recording the video. And so I will be uploading the video at 9 a.m. sharp every day because routine and discipline is very important in order to make things easy, in order to keep it simple. So I will schedule the video for 9 a.m. and then you will be, as you see, people are going, the vehicles and everything. So I will schedule the video for 9 a.m. and then you will automatically get it at 9 a.m. sharp. Or as I as I change my mind, then I will upload it at 8 a.m. sharp. So it will be from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. But I have to think about the timing whether 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. will be suitable. But if I upload it at 8 a.m., then there is a possibility that many people will be able to watch it in the morning, considering that people might be from the corporate job that are watching this video, or I don't know. I frankly don't know who will gonna watch this, but but my work is to just give a routine to my work, to my things, and make it simple, make my life simple. So that is what I have decided, to upload it at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. So I will look whether 8 a.m. will suit or 9 a.m. depending upon my waking up pattern. And one more thing that I have done is that on Instagram I have made this highlight of 4 a.m. streak where I will be waking up at 4 a.m. and then I will be uploading this story in order to be accountable for my waking up routine. And so when you do something in a streak, you have this motivation that I don't want to break my streak, and so you are very ardent on that, you are very focused on that, and that's why I have done this. So if you are on YouTube and watching it, then you can subscribe on Instagram in order to wake up at 4 a.m. because maybe you might be getting inspired from watching this story that okay, someone is consistent and I will be consistent with him. So that's upon you, that's up to you. Now let's continue with our lessons. And so we're going to talk about vocabulary, then we're going to talk about this 48 laws of power, then we're going to talk about logical positivism. Yesterday we covered positivism, and today we're going to know about logical positivism, and then we're going to learn the Spanish. And so the vocabulary part. So the first word is abdicate. So what is abdicate? Abdicate is to give up something, to give up on something, that you abdicated your responsibility. And abdicate is usually from power or position. So to give up something, to give up a position of power and things like that. So that is abdicate. The second word is exponents. So what are exponents? Exponents are supporter of ideas or theory, and then they persuade that this is good. So these are exponents. People who support an idea or theory and they persuade others that this is good. So that is exponent. And the other word that is there is insist. So insist is when you say something firmly and strongly, when you say something firmly and strongly, so that other must do that, do that thing. Or it can also mean that to say strongly about something that is true. So it has two meaning. The noises are there. So it's kind of a distracting when you heard noises from the outside, but everything has solution, every problem has solution, and that solution is when everybody's sleeping, do the work. And so where I was insist to to say something firmly that something is true, to say firmly that something is true, so that is also insist. The other word is obscuring. Obscuring is to hide, to make something difficult to be seen or understood, so that is obscuring, obscure. The other word is pertaining. So pertaining is something that is associated or related to a specified thing, so that is pertaining, related to or associated with something specific. And the other word is after pertaining, it's pathologies. So the in sociology the word pathologies means disease or sickness in society, disease or sickness of society. So that is pathologies. You can use the term, but in sociology that is what it means. So yesterday we covered this Auguste Comte quote about that. What was the quote? The scientific analysis of society can do wonders to address the pathologies of that society. So this is what we covered yesterday. And where I was, and so the other word is preference. So preference is when you choose, when you have an interest or desire in one thing more than the other. So you love this thing more than this thing. So that is preference. I prefer this because I am interested in this more. So that is there. And the other word that is there is purview. So purview is limit of something, limit of someone's responsibility, interest, or activity. So that is purview. The other word that is there is substantive. So substantive is when you have this firm basis in reality, and that is so important, considerate, and considerable, things like that. So that is substantive, having a firm basis in reality, and at the same time it is very important, considerable, etc., etc. The other word, last word, 10th word that is there is virtue. So virtue is a quality or a habit, a good quality or a habit. So that is, honesty is a virtue. So that is a very good habit. But if you watched my previous video, then you would understand that too much honesty might not be good for you, because it depends upon the situation. Sometimes we have to tackle the situation in a very cunning manner, in a very careful manner. So watch the previous videos. That might help you in order to smooth things out, in order to make things less frictional between relationship of you or someone else. So that is there. Now, coming on to what I have learned in the 48 laws of power. And so, what I have learned is that there are people who use superiority as a weapon. So, using moral superiority as a weapon is the topic of the today's discussion, and that is there. So, there are people who display that they are so pious, they are so virtuous in their sense of justice, they are so morally superior, they have this ethical thing within them, they are so much good hearted and things like that. But But what you have to understand here is that it's a very indirect manipulation that they are doing. It's a very indirect thing, and sometimes what happens is that they are doing it unconsciously. They are not even aware that they are doing this, so they are doing it very unconsciously. And the other thing that you have to understand is that when these people get that, if they showed this this indirect manipulation, or if they publicized their tactic, then that will be not good for them. And so that is why they resent any public publicizing of their tactics. And so this is what you have to understand, that there are people who are showing their moral values, their ethical values, but when people show this, you become careful. See, my intention of learning all these things, all this stuff, is to safeguard myself. It's a defensive system, because if you learn karate, then you don't go there out to harm others. You just learn it for your self defense. You might not ever need using your karate skills in your life, but when you know it, when you know the skill, you are confident, you are courageous, you are brave, you are fearless. And so that thing is enough to keep the threatening people, or people who want to harm us, to keep them away. Because the body language is there, the confidence is there, the courage is there, the firmness is there. And so the other person can read the body language and know that, okay, this person knows self defense, this person has the body language of a fighter. And so when you know the manipulation, the subtle skills, the indirect things, the cunning ways, so you become very careful if someone is trying on you with these skills of theirs, with these manipulative skills, manipulation, indirect tactics. So you become very careful with that. And so with that, I have talked about this, and the one more thing that I want to talk today is this quote, that the only means to gain one's end is using force and cunning. That is there. So the only way to gain one's end is with force and cunning. Love also, they say, but that is to wait for the sunshine, and life needs every moment. I got it right. So, and this quote is from this person, and in German it is pronounced as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. So the spelling will be that Johann space VON space Goethe. And so the full name is Wolfgang Johann Wolfgang. So Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. So this is a quote from this person. And what you have to understand here is that he talks about using force and cunning as a way to get what you want from others, to snatch what you want, to fulfill your desires by doing any means necessary, and that usually involve force and cunning. But now that we are reading laws of power, we know that overt power moves are not good, and so the point where force is used is out of the box, and now you resort to the other thing, that is cunning. Using cunning words, using cleverness, using this subtle forms, the indirect forms, art of indirection, seduction, charm, deception, and things like that. And so the other the other thing the quote says is to love also, but that is to wait for sunshine, and life needs every moment. So the point that he is trying to say, in my opinion, is that he is saying this because to wait for sunshine means to wait for a perfect timing, to wait for a good time, to wait for a time when things are going smooth. But but that cannot happen when you are struggling, when you are trying to make something out of anything, out of scratch. When you're trying to make something from scratch, then you need to resort to cunning ways, because how can love happen when you have nothing? So that's a very tricky part, because love also demands infatuation and attraction. And when you have this, if you don't have this seduction within you, if you don't know the art of indirection, then your love will also, I don't know what to say. I don't want to say anything negative to your life, but you get what I'm saying. And so life needs every moment. So life is going on with every moment, good or bad, but you have to resort to ways that are there, that will not make you very difficult to others. And it's so distracting outside. I don't want to rant, but I cannot focus on what I'm talking, so I have to just try. And now we have completed the 48 laws of power part. And the other thing that is there in this political theory aspect is that this logical positivism. So what is logical positivism? Yesterday we covered positivism, and now this is logical positivism. So as you get to know that it is something that is related to positivism. So what is logical positivism? Logical positivism is this revision of positivism. It's a result of revision of positivism, because what happened is that in the during the early 20th century, there were a lot of stuff going on, lot of discoveries happening, lot of invention, lot of different things happening. And so since positivism talks about something that can be experienced by sense, and after this discoveries, after these discoveries, force, magnetism, electron, atoms, gravity, they all started to make in the news or in the theory. So these are the things that cannot be experienced by sense, but but scholars needed a theory which can put these stuff into the positivism without touching the metaphysical aspect, without touching the metaphysical speculation. So there is this new logical positivism that came. And the other thing that you have to understand is that the logical positivist divided science into two major parts: the empirical part and the theoretical part. So empirical part is the observation part, and theoret the the empirical part is the observation part, and the theoretical part is the theory, is aspect of theory of what has been observed. So that is there. And it is also to understand, it is also to note, you have to note in that, because, and you also have to note that logical positivist gave empiricism a very good thought. They wedded empiricism and rationalism in logical positivism. And so ultimate authority of logical positivism is this empiricism, and the theoretical part is there to give logic to what has been observed, to give a theory to what has been observed. So that is what you have to understand. And the other part that you need to understand is that the logical positivism was founded by German German sociologist Max Weber, and the members of the Vienna Circle. So who were in the Vienna Circle? There were three prominent names are there, and that is Schlick, Mortis Schlick. What was the name? I have to see. Moritz Klick, and the other name is Ludwig Wittgenstein, Wittgenstein, and the other word is A.J. Ayer. So, and that was happening around 1924. So with that comes the proper definition that logical positivism is using empiricism. And so, with that, we get the final definition that logical positivism is is this abstract theoretical concept that has come after logical observation of this particular thing, after logical empirical observation. I don't know, I'm making that much sense to you right now because logical positivism is that part where you need to have a very keen understanding because it is similar to positivism, and so you have to pay a very sharp critical thinking into that because there is one side that is there about positivism, that's something that you can see, that I talked about black sheep, but at the same time there is something called gravity, so that cannot be seen but that is there. So you need a very observation that apple is falling to the ground, but why it is falling, so that is theoretical, so gravity is making it fall. So what I'm saying in this logical positivism, this is what you have to understand, that observation is there and theory is there, so that is combining these two is logical positivism, and there is nothing else to understand. I don't know, I made it sound hard to you, but there is nothing in that to understand very much. And how can you use this in your uh, daily life or journey? Because when you when you observe something in society and then you try to give it a very logical thought to it, you try to theorize your own thoughts, then you come to understand why. So as now I am reading this 48 laws of power, so when I read something I try to see whether it had happened in my life or not, and then I theorize, okay, so this part is something that has happened, and so if this part has happened with me, why did it happen, what was the logic, why does it happen, why people are like this, what made them like this, and so that goes back to trauma and the childhood thing. And so we will talk about that, we will learn also about these stuff, the psychology and everything. But but the point that I'm trying to make is that observing and making logical theoretical relation is what is logical positivism, wedding both empiricism and rationalism together. Now we have talked about this. Now let's come on to my Spanish part. And so what I have learned in Spanish is how to say what is she like, what is he like, in a descriptive form, how does he look, something like that. And so you don't say what are you like, you don't say in that in Spanish, you say how are you, how you look, something like that. And so if talking about Spanish, then you say, if I have to ask you what are you like, as if I'm talking on this screen, let's assume that we are chatting and I want to know what are you like. So how will I ask you that? So I will ask you how are you. So when I ask how are you, it becomes what are you like. So it's a descriptive form. It's a describing of what you look like, what you have, what hair do you have short height, or what personality you have, so things like that. So if I ask you como eres tú, so if I ask you como eres tú, that means how. Como is how, eres are, tú. We have talked about that. Tú eres, él es, ella es. We have talked about in the previous video. And so you just have to flip that. So como eres tú. So what are you like? If you have to talk about a friend and you ask what was he like, so you ask this question, what is he like? And so that goes like como es él, como como es él. If you are talking to a person who is respectful and you want to give respect, so you ask como es usted, como es usted. If what are they like, and if you're talking about a group of males, so it becomes como son ellos. And so this goes like this. So we have done with the Spanish part, and now what I want to say is that after learning this German accent of John Wolfgang von Goethe, no, it was like John, no, Johann, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. So I'm trying to now. I'm interested in German as well, and so let's see whether I start learning German also, because now I'm gonna do that. I've made this mind, but the question is when I will start. So you have to just see, maybe tomorrow in the next video you will see me speaking or trying to learn German. So that can be there. So see you later.